And we are live. Welcome back, guys, to Rate My Team. Should be a cracker of a video today. A bunch of advice to give out. Look, this week is a bit tricky. There's no right answers really this week, I'm finding. For my side, though, before we do jump into teams, actually, just because they are firing through. Yeah, they are firing through. All right, sweet. We've got a bunch of teams to cover today. But let me just jump across to my team here and just sort of tell you what I'm doing first before we jump in. So I've been thinking deeply about this Lasardi situation, and right now, as it stands, I've got Lasardi in my side. Is it going to stay that way? Maybe not. But right now, he's in my side here, so I think he's probably going to stay in. I mean, the big thing here is that 70-point average. It's absolutely colossal there. It's just hard to miss out on a guy like that. And you look at him and you go, all right, 100 meters plus every game. 42 tackles, only one missed tackle every game as well. That's a 50-point base there. You have attacking stats against Brisbane. We saw Kelma Tuolangi tear in the shreds last week. I think if you don't have Lasardi, you kind of have to go get him. And in terms of the trades, I'll show you these here too. So we've got Dylan Brown, Ewan Aitken going out for Lasardi and Yongi coming in. So that's my trades this week. Hopefully that answers a couple of questions at least, just to show you what I'm doing. But yeah, that leaves me with 112K. If I had $2,000 more, I would go to Jacob Kiraz instead of Yongi, but unfortunately, I'm a bit short. Saying that, I'm not too upset about getting Yongi right now. Like, I really like the Parramatta fixtures. Obviously, Panthers is a tough one coming up soon, but outside of the Panthers, it's pretty good. You know, you've got, I believe it's the Dragons this week. You go through to some easier matchups after the Panthers as well. So, yeah, Isaiah Yongi at 560K could be a sweet one. Now, quick question here came through. How do we submit our teams for Longy to Rate? Or is it a subscriber perk? Yeah, so it's a sub perk there. So everyone, you just drop your team into the Rate My Team section. If you do want to join on a trial, I'll just pop it into the chat here, but you can join on a trial there. So it's 10 days if you do want to try it out and just see if you like it. Otherwise, just watch along and your trade questions will probably get answered as we go. Sub perk in Discord. Yep, exactly. Then watching with my grandma. Well, hello to Nimbus's grandma. Hopefully you're doing well. You form, I think it's about 2% female audience on this channel. So any ladies we can get into fantasy is a good thing. I got my misso into the game this year. And yeah, if you can get any other girls into the game, we need to sort of start, evening things up here. Because right now it's just boys. Go the wing fullbacks. Yeah, wing fullback's going to be a big target this week. Thoughts on Turbo? Obviously has a bye this week, but I do think he's an interesting option for next week. Your Kiraz really depends on the second part of your trade. If you can get Kiraz, you get Kiraz. Dual position is the best play there. He is the better scorer, but Yongi is looking good, and I'm grabbing Yongi 100%. Hayden, how are we doing? Doing well, man. Doing well. It's been a good week. I'm actually really enjoying this week. I think I've got a nice little flow here. There's some late nights on Tuesday and Wednesday nights with all the content there, but I have pretty lazy mornings on these days, so yeah, took the dog down to the dog park, popped to the gym. It was a pretty chill one. Mine failed to send twice, got it in time. Easy, man. Freedom Rider here. Sup, Longy. Loving your content. Studio upgrades. Thank you, man. I haven't been on a live. Supercoach. Yeah, Supercoach not too bad. I'm playing a bit of Supercoach this year as well. I think I'm ranked about 2,000th in Supercoach. So, yeah, doing pretty well actually over there. Then, yeah, just a question there. How do you rate your team? That's the link there, guys. So if you are trying to get your team rated, just jump in there. That's how you're going to get on. Now, I'll go through some more messages in a bit, but I'm just going to go through some questions here. And how funny is this? Monkey here. Get ready to hit send on your teams. It is funny because right on 6 p.m., we get all the sends coming through. And Gentle Giant and Crooks, unfortunately, I can't make any exceptions before 6 p.m. So I hate to do it. But if I start doing the ones at 5:59, everyone's going to start sending them at 5:59. So unfortunately, I got to do this. So, Brian, let's go to Brian first. Hey, Longy, for my head-to-head team, I've gone Brown to Yongi, which leaves me with Aitken to trade out, 223K in the bank. Got heaps of cash. Straight talk to Herbie is a decent play there. Thoughts on a potential center pod? Anyone? Yep. Oh, okay. So Val Holmes, interesting. 2.5% owned. Dragons' next bunch of matchups are good. They are decent here. So Para, Titans, Cowboys, Manly, South, Roosters, and Bye is very friendly there. It's why I think Setu 2 is one you shouldn't sell as well. Look, you can see him averaging 35 points. Yeah, for sure. But I don't know, 606K, scored a double against Storm. Look, Val Holmes is a good option, right? He's a good player. But you can go to Herbie, right? So Val scored that double, didn't score that well. in that game. I would say for you, I think you're overcooking it a little bit. Look, Val could potentially light up, but I would say go to Herbie, man. Like if you can get to Herbie, you're going to need Herbie for the Origin period because he plays major buy rounds and he doesn't play Origin. So I think at this stage for you, you plug Herbie into this team and you've got Walsh, who's, a bit of a keeper there. Silfair Longo, who doesn't have a buy till round 15, so you hold him for a while. Yongi won't play Origin as well, so you'll hold him for quite a bit. Chester, we'll hold as long as we can. And then Herbie there, which puts you in a pretty solid position. Whereas if you go Val Holmes, if he's playing well, he plays Origin, right? So that's the risk there. And if he's not playing well, he's not scoring well for fantasy. Look, I'm going to say get Herbie, but there is a chance that Holmes pops off, but Herbie could also just pop off even bigger. So I'm going to say no to Val Holmes. I'm just not that excited about him right now. Curse up here next. Hey, Longy, bit of a rough week losing Dylan and KP, missing out on not owning Cleary. Still happy to be almost in top 5K. Mate, great spot. I will say on rankings here too, guys, if you're in a position where your rank's pretty rubbish right now, it's an embarrassing rank, don't feel too bad because the average fantasy player has gotten better and better at the game over the years. And there's just so much content out there right now that it's pretty easy to land on a decent score in round one. So there's a bit of luck that goes each way. And you can be, I was ranked 24,000th last week. I jumped into 4,000th this week. I'll jump again this week for sure. Like my team's looking really good. But yeah, if you're in a bad rank, it just takes 1 week to jump. So I wouldn't stress too much about your position there if you are in a poorer position. But if you're in a great spot, obviously, you celebrate those wins. It just takes a bit longer for things to shake out with the way things are right now. The big thing that differentiates you, though, is as we get into the season, there's a lot more decisions that are made that can, net you more points and people start making mistakes. So Ponga and Brown out for Fletcher Sharp and Jacob Carraz. This is interesting here. So if you bring Sharp in, I might make myself a little smaller. Yeah, so that's going to work. If you bring Sharp in, then we get Sharp in the half spot for you. You got Dewey there. Then in the halves, you got Sanders. Yeah, so you're not overloaded with halves here. And I think the whole halves overload thing with Dylan Brown going down has become less of an issue at this stage. Look, getting Sharp is okay. Grabbing a half is okay. You kind of need to get a half, really, because you don't want to play Sanders in your 17 this week. He's someone I benched last week. I'm probably benching him again this week, maybe a loophole option. I'm not that high on Sharp right now. Like, look, Sharp's a good option. He's a guy who's a bit of a beast, but comes back from major injury up against the Warriors who could dominate. It's a friendly edge to run against. So he's running against the Laban Leia Tower edge. So the speed advantage is going to be pretty distinct there with him and Brad Best in particular. So look, Sharp could have a big day, but he's very expensive. He's very risky. I think you just need to be aware that this one could blow up in your face. If you're willing to take that gamble and you're okay with the potential that Sharp and Kraz could pop off in either direction, then it's an okay move. You have 13K in the bank. So if you were to make another move instead, the fact that you need a half does limit this quite a bit. You could go to someone like Atkinson as a safer option, but Atco has that injury cloud. So I'm going to say these trades are fine. Yeah, these trades are fine. Rethink it, though. If Ethan Sanders pops off this week in that first game of the round on Thursday, then you could potentially keep Dylan Brown and run a loophole there. What I would do, though, with that loophole is I would move Sanders down to emergency 6 and Hamish Stewart up to emergency 5. Because if you leave Sanders in emergency 6 and you have Dylan Brown in your half spot starting, Sanders will still loop into that spot because he's the only half on your bench. So that little reconfiguration just means you can see Sanders score before you decide whether you sell Dylan Brown. Sanders most likely will score pretty poorly in that game, but if he scores well, then you save yourself a trade and you get to reevaluate next week. So just one thing to flag in terms of your roster configuration there, Curse. That works for everyone too, by the way. The fact that Sanders plays that first game of the round, you either have to run the emergency 5 loophole if you have other halves, or you can run the deeper loophole if you don't have a lot of halves in your team. Now, JMO up next. Hey, Longy, hope you're well, mate. I am doing well. I'm loving life. So main focus here is head-to-head. You got 93K in the bank. You're tossing up a few options. No trades. Use Brown as a looping option for now. Brown straight to Sewer, or Brown, Stewart to Sewer and Howarth. Howarth is interesting. Howarth's one I haven't really looked at too deeply so far. In fact, I might just jump across and get a bit more educated on Howarth here. So what's Howarth doing right now, stat-wise? So right now we got 2 games with tries, a 40 and a 51. Tackle counts have been sort of high teens average. Meters have been a bit all over the place too. A couple of tackle breaks. Yeah, okay. So price-wise, he's gone up about 26K, sitting at 478. These are two games with tries for him. I mean, the matchups are good coming up, but I don't love these scores, like a 40 and a 51 with tries in games where they've absolutely dominated. The involvement in attack, that Dragons game, he's got one tackle break, sub 100 meters. I guess the try wasn't a big score one, big defensive work rate there. I'm not super keen on Howarth, if I'm being transparent. Like, I think he's a tier below being a consistently startable guy. Like, he's worse than Chester, is my concern here. So, I mean, if you bring Howarth in, I guess you're running him over Macassini with some good matchups coming up. Yeah, I mean, I agree with your strategy of upgrading the backline. I don't necessarily agree with the Howarth play. So, Brown Stewart to Sewer Howarth. Brown to Sewer probably feels like the best option here. So if you go Brown to Sewer, it means that you don't have to play Cobbo this week or potentially Macassini there. I'd say that's probably the play. If I was looking at a second trade here, yeah, Cobbo's the Dolphins' attack hasn't been good enough, so I'd be looking to flick him as well. I'd probably flick Cobbo before I flicked Hamish too. Hamish potentially could get some better minutes this week with the starting gig. So if you sold Cobbo and you bought someone in, obviously play for feeder in your 17 as well. I'd sell Cobbo. You could sell Cobbo for someone like Atkinson, or you could go in a different direction. There's a bunch of options you could take. The big one I would say here, though, is with Faeamani. He's got the Cowboys this week. So I'd start Faeamani instead of Cobbo anyway, right? So plug Faeamani in. I'd probably play Faeamani over Macassini. So if once you sell Cobbo, Faeamani into wing fullback, Chester into the center spot, and Suafea-Longo into wing fullback as well, Macassini on the bench there. Because Faeamani, I'm not an owner of Faeamani, but if I was, I'd try to plug him into my 17 this week. Now let's plug some questions here. Aussie, how you doing, bro? Good to see you. Casual baller, yo, great rank for baller right now. We got Frost King, got Karaz and Grant, full send. Yeah, these are great options right now. They're pumping it. Yeah, the boys from Triple H. Set mine the first 5. Oh, no. Thoughts on Walsh in? Yeah, Walsh is a decent option. Not a great matchup this week, though. Yongi, the GOAT. Yeah, Yongi's a decent option. I'm jumping on him. Thoughts on Yongi? Not Longy, Yongi in for Walsh. I wouldn't sell Walsh, man. Nah, don't sell Walsh. Watching from Mars, that's the furthest we've had so far. So that's pretty cracker. Normally we only get internationals. What's up, Longy? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, man. Toby Couchman, I'd sell Couchman. Looks like he has a few injuries. The fact that Ryan's there playing well it just means that it's kind of cooked. I have Toya. Should I trade him for Yongi? I'd keep Toya if you have Toya, but look, the Panthers matchup isn't a favorable one, so you could give him the flick for Yongi, actually. Yeah, I'm going to say yes to this trade. But if there are other ways you can get there, there's probably a better play. Good to see you, Isora. No trades. Plan to play Howe and Faeamani. Howe is a bit suspect. So on Aramaho, sorry, I keep saying Ho. On Aramaho, you've got to be cautious with him right now. So Josh Patston's had a great start to the year. He's played 2 very good games in reserve grade. Apparently not named in reserve grade this week. Potential for him to come into the equation in the first grade side. I think there's a good chance he plays some minutes this week, which would really hurt Aramaho. Now, the one other option there is that Bo Firma looked a bit injured in that last game a couple of times. I've heard no reports on him being injured, but he's just one where I'm looking at him going, oh, maybe it's cover for Bo Firma, maybe it's something else, but I think there's a good chance that Patson's going to hurt Ho. So Aramaho, as much as I love the matchup this week, he's not in my 17. They play so late in the round as well, so you just really can't make adjustments. Then Sean Prawn, good to see you, mate. Herbie and Ataka Manu over Yongi and Lasardi. Oh, I mean, this is a tricky one. I would say you want to upgrade your back line here. Really, that's an important thing because you look at your 17 and upgrading the back line will help you scoring quite a bit this week. I'd probably be going Lasardi and your choice between Herbie or Yongi there. But I think Lasardi's cash generation just makes him a really good option. Then Varley, good to see you, bro. Let's go. Shot for all the hard work, mate. It's not hard work when we're talking fantasy, man. This is fun. I've done this forever. it's a bit of a vibe. Then Dewey or Haas as captain. Dewey's not really in the conversation week to week, guys. Like So Dewey, I hope Dewey last week because of the Cowboys matchup, because North Queensland aren't defending much, but on a week-to-week basis, you're probably not considering Dewey. Like he's more like a 60 average this year, whereas Haas is more that 70 sort of area. Cleary potentially a 75. Like Cleary's the one you want to captain. Payne Haas is the second choice there. Then Brown and Ponga for Karaz and Herbie. Yeah, these are good options here. And then another one from Mars too. Love to see it. All right, let's keep ripping through some of these teams here, and then I'll answer some more questions. And look, guys, as I go through, you're probably going to see your trade questions answered with these different teams. So hopefully that's the way it works. Now, Noah's up next. Should I only do Yongi and put Atkinson in, or how could I loop? So let's see. Bradman Best to Galvin and Brown to Yongi there. Yeah, Bradman Best is one that I was thinking about selling with all the losses there. Obviously, Ponga is a big out for them, but I've reconsidered this because of Aitken. So I'll tell you my cope on Bradman Best, and you can sort of make your own call on this. He loses Ponga, which is a big reduction in scoring opportunity for Best. He has a Warriors matchup this week, which is very tough. Now, the Wires have been dominating at home, and this one's played in Newcastle, so potentially you take a few points off the Wires there. The other thing is you got Bradman Best up against Ali Tower, who has had some good moments this year, but does love to go for an intercept, is a little bit slower, got caught out for speed by KO Weeks in that last game. And we know Bradman Best is one of the quickest centers in the game. So if they feed Sharp the ball early and he feeds Best a bunch of ball, which we've seen 175 meters plus each week, I think there's a potential that Bradman Best could break off a few big plays. Now, would it be better if Ponga was playing? 100%. Would it be better if Brown was playing? Even better. But that's my cope for Bradman Best. I'm holding him this week. I'm okay with this, though. These trades are good. Like Galvin and Yongi, good options there. If you're just going a simple trade, you're probably just going Brown to Yongi, which I think is a decent option as well. And the reason I like Brown to Yongi only for you is you bring Galvin into your 17, and you're basically using that to get rid of Dan Atkinson, right? So Galvin versus Atkinson is pretty close. I would say they're about 5 points apart in average. So you're making a 5-point improvement to your team. Whereas if you keep Bradman Best, you play Best over Macassini, which I think is more like a 10-point improvement to your team. So what you've done with this second trade, the Best sale, is you've weakened your roster, essentially. If you were going to sell Bradman Best, you'd need to look for someone who's going to plug in over Macassini, I would say, because Macassini is a much weaker link than Atkinson. So for you, I'm going to say Brown and Yongi. Just do the simple trade. Probably keep Bradman Best. If you do want to sell Best, you probably sell him for a center. And with the cash you got there, the center options are kind of mediocre. So I'd say keep Best and ride the train with me here. I do think Galvin's a good option. I just don't think he's that much better than Atkinson to justify the trade. So that's my take for you, Noz. Now, rolling through, Rex Hunt. Hey, Longy, a True Rocks and Diamonds week for me. 1,062 score with 22K rank wise. That's a cracker, man. Big Tino, Brown, and Cobbo. Yeah, they were shockers this week, but you had some good scores there too. Thinking I might use Brown this week as a loop for Sanders and focus on clearing out the two that will leak cash. If Sanders doesn't fire, Best is a concern. The plans to drop Brown down to a cheapie, potentially Best up to Herbie. Yeah, this is not a bad play here if you can make that move. Otherwise, I think the Guns and Cheapie strategy could be played. Yeah, Guns and Cheapies is playing really well this year. So for you, you've got Tino and Cobbo out for Hopgood and Yongi. Not a bad shout there. You did toy with the idea of Cheapie and Herbie as well. What you could do, let's see your team. Oh, okay. So you've got Lasardi, Martin, Couch. You got all the boys, Atkinson. You got all these cheapies already. So you're in a good position there. Starting team looks solid with the trades. Yeah, you're keeping Best as well. Man, we've been screwed over by that. He was looking so good in that game. I'm furious. But yeah, these trades upgrade you because Yongi comes into your side. Hopgood comes in to the mid spot, and you're a bit light at middle forward. So yeah, you have to buy a mid this week. You could go a Turkamanu over Hopgood instead if you wanted to. You got the cash there. You could go Isaiah Papali'i. Like you got a few options there. I think a Turkamanu is a safer option than Hopgood right now as a middle forward play. So I'm just going to flag that up. But I think Hopgood could be great too. Like personally, I'm an owner of both Turkamanu and Hopgood. So this one's kind of your call. I'm leaning a Turkamanu over Hopgood. It's a bit of a coin toss. Obviously, Sanders in that loophole there for Dylan Brown as well. You're not selling Brown this week, which is easy. So you get to see the Sanders score. You could potentially change this trade and sell Brown instead of Cobbo, for example, if you wanted to later. But yeah, I think Lasardi's going to come into your 17. I say that with a bit of confidence here too. I think he definitely plugs in with his scoring there, unless Sanders goes like 55 plus kind of deal. So yeah, you're in a good position, man. Those trades are solid. I think the play you're making this week is good. Now, Phileel up next. Phileel, good to see you the other day at Sterlo's Lounge as well, mate, for a mighty Parramatta win. I'm late to the R couch party, so I'm finally getting him in. Second trade, Cobbo for Yongi. Also, thoughts on my bench, interchange emergency. Yeah, okay, let's have a look here. So, Brown and Cobbo out, Couchman, Yongi in. It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. All right, look, if you don't have Ryan Couchman or Martin, or I feel like Lasardi's almost in this camp as well, you just get those guys and get the cash generation. You ride the wave there. So you bring in Couch and Yongi here. Your 17 looks good. Herbie and Chester's nice. Walsh, Yongi, Fairlongo. The big thing I'm looking for this week, guys, I'll talk about Dewey Captain in a sec as well, but the big thing I'm looking for is imbalance, right? So when we're looking at our fancy trades, and 100% have a look at your trades and see this too. If you're making trades where you're selling outside back starters and you're buying multiple players that don't play in the backs, and then you have a bench where you've got a bunch of gun players outside of your 17, so you have, players like Atkinson, Couchman, these types of players not in your 17, and you have weak players like Macassini or these types of guys in your 17 in the wing spots, then you're making your team too unbalanced and you're actually hurting your scoring. So you need to force a couple of these outside back options in, even though there are probably better options in the forwards, because we need to build up our back lines. So yeah, Couchman and Yongi here is cracker. That back five is really strong. This is a good side. You don't have Cleary right now. That's one thing that you want to have a think about over the next few weeks. But look, you've gone to no Cleary play, so you're kind of stuck with that call at this stage. And yeah, there's not a lot of easy ways for you to get to Cleary unless you sell someone pretty good. So I would say this is a good play here. I'd probably captain Haas in this game as well, up against the Storm. It's a matchup where he has been strong before. The Storm are missing a few of their troops in the middle as well still. I guess they're getting some of them back. But yeah, I'd probably go Payne Haas. He's going to have to be on the field for them, and he's going to have to be big for them to compete in this game. So personally, I'm Payne Haas over Dewey captain call this week, but that's 100% your shout there. Look, Herbie's always one you can consider as well. So yeah, good trades there, man. And then before I go to Perpetual Stress, top 100. Let me know what your rank is, bro, because I'd love to know what your rank is, man. Top 100 is cracker though. Actually, it'll say here what rank 60. Okay, sweet, man. We'll talk about that team in a sec. Let's hit a few more questions on the chat before we go through. So we got. Thank you, mate. Big shout out for the work. Yes, I need Parramatta to climb the ladder. I'm just going to flag something, by the way, guys. Parramatta are undefeated since I hung the Para jerseys in the studio here. So just throwing that out there. Might be a good omen. If the Eels want to, they can, get me involved in some stuff as well. Bit of voodoo magic. Hopefully it keeps going. Is Sean Russell a sell? Had him as a pod. Yeah, I wasn't super hyped on Russell in general. He could bounce back this week. He's sort of a rotational guy. The issue with Russell is he's kind of in the same tier as Macassini and these other guys, but he wasn't 250k. So you can move him on for benefits to your side. Then, hey, Longy, would you sacrifice for Feeder to get in Herbie? No. Don't sell for Feeder. Refusing anyone from selling for Feeder. Couchman and Brown to Farnworth and Lasardi. Yeah, this is a pretty good pair of trades. I'd pull the trigger on this. Buy Lasardi or Faeamani. I've got Lasardi my fifth edge. I think Lasardi's one to target this week. I'm jumping on Lasardi. I just think the cash generation is going to be too quick and too good. And he's too good of a scorer. Like, not having him in my 17 has really hurt me over the first 2 weeks. Then Grant or Sewer this week. Grant or Sewer this week. Sewer Fairlongo. He doesn't play Origin. He's going to play the first major buy round in round 12 as well. The Storm don't have a buy till round 15. Grant will play Origin. Grant's already pretty expensive too. I think you go Sewer and you just cop the fact that you're going to miss out on Harry Grant this year. Then thoughts on Captain Haas over Cleary. I could see Haas going massive. Yeah, I think Haas is a good option. I'm going Cleary myself. I went Cleary last week too, though. I'm a bit of a Cleary bias kind of guy. I sort of like the historical pedigree there. So I'm going to say Cleary as the best captain. Dylan Brown replacement. Mate, we are hammering Dylan Brown replacements through this whole episode. So you're just going to see variations of Brown trades as we go. And then thinking Yoda Turbo next week. Yeah, that could be a shout. Keeping Go this week is a good shout as well. Obviously, Cog is out, so there's a decent chance that he will play the 80 minutes. Pod captain choices, mate. Throw some options up. It's funny too. You see a team in the top 100. There's a few comments saying it's an average team, but it's tall poppy syndrome. We love that in Australia. Now let's have a look at this team because rank 61. This man is he's on top. This is interesting too. So I'm at about 2,005 points. I think it is. So you're less than 100. So I'm ranked, I think it's 4,300. You're ranked top 100, and it's about 98 points ahead. So really just to highlight, guys, if you're ranked like 5,000th, you're one good week away from the top 100 kind of deal. So it's all super close right now, but congrats to this coach for being up there. Now, let's see this team. So team looks good across the board. Yeah, okay. So you're the Herbie Carraz combo here. You've got Yongi after the trade, I'm assuming as well. Fairlongo Chester. This is a great backline. Really good backline. Couch Lasardi for Fida Colhoun is fine there as well. You got depth in the backline here too. What trades have you got this week? Yeah, okay. So Couchman, Marnie to Taka Manu Yongi. And you're already riding the Harry Grant Express. Harry Grant doesn't have a buy till basically Origin, right? So you got nothing to worry about there. This is good, man. These trades are really good because, look, as much as I'm not for everyone selling Reed, you have somehow dodged Kalen Ponga, Dylan Brown. Like you dodged all the problems that have popped up for most coaches. So that's hey, sometimes there's a bit of luck involved in these things. Plenty of skill in this team as well. So, mate, I think this is a decent pair of trades. If you were going to sell someone that wasn't Reed Marnie, because I think Reed does have value. I don't know where else he'd go. Like, there's no one else I'd really be looking to move out of your side. So, yeah, I think this is a good shout here. I think Moses Leo is going to eventually cap out pretty soon. So he's one to look at. Macassini said to have more time. I think Sanders might cap out sooner than we hope as well. So, yeah, man, roster looks good. These trades are absolutely cracker. Takamanu Yongi, it strengthens your back line. The Carraz Herbie center pairing as well, that's going to do wonders for you. I think you're going to be a player who is going to stay in that top 100 this week. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we're talking about top 10 next week. So, yeah, mate, absolutely killing it. If you're reconsidering as well, yeah, you got the badge. You got the top 100 badge on your profile there. So, yeah, feel free to, if you're in the top 100, guys, and you're in the group, like I'm here to help everyone, but especially those who are in those top rankings. I'm especially available because I'd love one of us to get the win this year. Now, hurrying up next. Hey, mate, hope you're well. Which trade should I pull the trigger on? Getting Herbie means I've got a gun center, kind of weak in the mids. And actually, so before I go to this, I will just see if there's any interesting comments here. Yes, here we go. Rank 7,000, 1984 overall. So you are 120 points behind, and that's like 7,000 ranks. Like it's crazy how close things are right now. Tino 80 plus this round is a huge call. Would you have more edges or mids? I've got 4 mids in my team, but I think the edges are who you want to target 100%. Yeah, this is interesting. So rank 1,000, 50 points from top 50. Man, it's close. It's close. It's so close. Like the 21-man squads keep things really close in fantasy, and in the early season, teams are a bit more same, and they start to get different as we go along. Now, Shuvas Shek, I love that team name. Oh, that's quality. All right, so Aitken and Brown versus the Turkamanu and Lasardi there. That's a good upgrade there. Or Farnworth and Faeamani. This is a toss-up that a lot of coaches have right now. Do you go to the base with Faeamani, or do you play a bit bigger with Turkamanu and Lasardi here? I'm leaning towards the Atokamanu and Lasardi pairing. I think Atokamanu is value. I think Lasardi's value. I think Faeamani's value too, but I think Herbie is one that you don't have to rush him in. Like, he's expensive. He's scoring well, but he is expensive. So, yeah, I wouldn't rip your team apart to go get him. So, for you, it means you're starting Hamish Stewart at this stage. Oh, you got Brown still. So, if we bring Atokamanu and Lasardi in, what's going to happen is Lasardi will replace Brown, and Atokamanu will replace Hamish Stewart. And you'll have a toss-up between Reed Marnie and Hamish Stewart on the end of your bench there. I'm happy with that, man. I'm happy with that. I'd probably play Reed Marnie over Hamish Stewart right now as well. That's where I'm leaning. But if Hamish keeps the 13 jersey and Saleh is not in the 17, then maybe you have a think about Hamish instead. So, yeah, good trades, man. You should be in the top 1,000 after this week, I'd say. Now, Ryan, hey, Longy, hope you're well, man. I just wanted to get your thoughts and opinions on this team and potential trade options. And mate, no worries. Happy to help. I love it. So Brown and Aitken for Yongi Galvin. Yeah, we like those boys. or Colquhoun and Galvin. And you're selling Hamish Stewart. So I think the Hamish Stewart to Colquhoun trade is not a great one. You're pocketing a bit of cash there. Look, Colquhoun's a better scorer than Hamish, but not by heaps. I personally think Colquhoun is more like that 40 to 45 type of average instead of the 50. And Hamish Stewart, right now, he's looking like a 35 to 40 kind of average. That potentially can bump up if the minutes increase and he starts starting at lock. So there's a chance these guys are the same, which makes this a pretty sideways trade. So I'm going to say no to that. Whereas the Brown and Aitken to Yongi and Galvin trade, these are big upgrades. This is trades I'd pull the trigger on. Now, if you do the Yongi and Galvin trade, you get rid of Aitken, you bring Yongi in, you can play him over Makasini, which is a good play. Then you bring Galvin in, and you'll play him on the end of your bench there. Hamish Stewart becomes a non-playing reserve. Yeah, they're good trades, man. Do the Galvin move. That's the better play, 100%. Luca, hey, Longy, I've gone Brown to Yongi and want to go best to either Faeamani or the Lily. 300K in the bank for Kraz next week, or Colquhoun and save 200K. This is one where I'm probably going to talk you out of this. So Bradden Best to Faeamani or the Lily to save cash. I would only do this Best to Faeamani move if you think that Faeamani will outscore Best. Now, there's a chance that happens, right? Faeamani's up against the Cowboys. Campbell's potentially back. If Campbell is 100% back, then maybe it's a play. But if I was you, I'd probably rather just save the trade, right? Unless you can go. So last week, for example, I saved a trade last week. Right? I only made one trade. I didn't make a second one. Not because I want to save trades, but just because I saw the moves and I was like, this isn't worth a trade. Like all the things I could do. So for Brown Yongi, I like that. That leaves you in a position where you've got Yongi in the starting side. You've got Best at the center spot. You don't have to start like a Makasini or one of these guys. If you brought Faeamani in, Faeamani actually can't play center, so you actually couldn't play him anyway. You'd be bringing Makasini into your starting side at center. So you're downgrading your scoring. Again, I think Best is about 10 points better than Makasini this week. So I'm going to say no to that second part of the trade because you just weaken your scoring. And imagine how sick you'd feel if Bradman Best tears Ali Leotaro apart and scores like 70 points, which he has done against the Warriors before. So I'm going to say no to the second part. I think your team looks really strong as is. Bench is really good. Dave Fafita doesn't even make you 17 either, which is crazy. So, in fact, is there a way we can get Dave Fafita into your 17? Oh, that's tricky. That's tricky. See, I'd want to get Fafita into the 17, man. But, yeah, you're in an awkward spot where you really can't do it. Unless you played him over Atkinson. Eels matchup is good for Atco, though. Play him over Lukey, but that Titans matchup's good for Lukey. Over Hopgood, maybe. Yeah, look, I've got no clean answer for you on the Fafita front, but my answer for the trades is just do one trade there. Save a trade this week and put yourself ahead of other coaches on that front. You're in a good position. You can target Kraz next week. There's going to be fires to put out. I promise you that always comes up. Now, I saw her, and let's just see, too, how we're tracking here, because we're about halfway through the live. So what do we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. By the way, Crooks, you sent one earlier, too, so make sure you delete the earlier one if you're sending a couple. 14, 15, 16, Mayhe, the legend, who shares all the news. 17, 18, 19, all right, 18 that we absolutely have to get through. And then I'll try to get through Jacko's as well. So let's get back up here. So before we do our Soros team, I'll hit some comments as well. There we go. That was a correct response, by the way, to that team in rank 60. Mate, he's in a great position. Rank 56, 2106. There we go. Yeah. So it's super close. It's super close. Great ranking, by the way. And there, it's an awesome spot to be in. Would you play Makasini over Cobbo? I'd probably play Makasini. Oh, he's got Whiten. It's a bit of a tougher matchup. I'm going to say Cobbo. I'll say Cobbo. We just haven't seen Makasini really do it at center yet, whereas we've seen Cobbo have some chances. There's a chance that Dolphins get it right this week. I'd go Cobbo. Noah Martin or Lasardi. Oh, Archie, my friend. You gotta go back in time and get both, man. I'd say Noah Martin's the more important one, but there's a chance this week that Sasangi goes back into the forward rotation and Noah Martin gets a rest. And, Noah Martin, he's not going to play 80 minutes all year. There's going to be games where he plays 60 minutes. So I still would say Noah Martin, but yeah, I think those two are the most important pair to get this week for you. I'd get them over most other guys that you're looking at this week. Then play Stewart, Howe, or Faeamani. Stewart's the safe option. Howe has a lot of upside, but risk with Paxton, and Faeamani is the big swing at the fences. I'd be tempted to play Faeamani. This is a bit of devil on your shoulder, but I'd be really tempted. Then, Curse, I'll get to yours later too. You're in level 2, so just jump in, send yours through to the level 2 channel. I'll give it a proper look later. But yeah, who should I trade Moses Leo for? Keep Moses Leo right now. Best might score 20. He absolutely might. that's a risk there. Unfortunately, I've got Aitken as well at center, so I've got to make that move. Who should I trade? Leo, 6-7. Thoughts on Brown and Ponga to Lasardi and Kraz? Brown and Ponga to Lasardi Kraz is a great pair of trades, man. Yeah, 100%. I was 2K short of that, but love it. I'm ranked 154. No, sorry, 15,000. I thought it was 154,000 noise. I was going to say, mate, I might have to kick you out of the community if you're ranked 154,000. Then Faeamani or Maka. Faeamani this week. The matchup's too good. Gus Crichton, is he a sell? Yeah, I'd sell Gus Crichton. I've been saying that every week. I still think he's a sell. I'm struggling, Longy. Got Best, Cobbo, Macassini, and Brown. 48K in the bank. Lasardi, Kraz, Yongi. Yeah, okay. I would probably be selling Brown 100%, and then I think Cobbo has been more hopeless than Best, so I'd go Cobbo and then just try and fit who you can fit for those two guys. If it's Lasardi and Yongi, that works pretty well. Clark to Papali'i, yeah, I think that's a good trade there. I wouldn't keep Clark. We've got we've got Mitch Barnett on the extended bench for the Warriors, so he's going to come back pretty soon. And then YTB, post the wrong state. That's all right, mate. You'll get a written review later as well, so don't stress too much. Cool. Let's keep rolling through these teams. Before I do, though, Baller with... I'm just going to leave that one up there, Baller, so you can live in the shame. Thoughts on buying King Gutho. By the way, guys, Baller was ranked like 80th last year and bought Gutho in as a pod. Which, at the time, Gutho was kind of killing it. But it was during the buy period as well. He had a good buy schedule. It was just one of the memes of the year last year in the private community. Now, trade-outs. Next up, I saw trade-outs. Brown and Cobbo. I like that. Lasardi, Kraz, yeah, man. This is going to be fine. You're tossing up Yongi, Sewer, Kraz, Grant. Yeah, I mean, Sewer could be an option. You target instead of Kraz here. Look, Kraz is probably a better scorer than Sewer Fairlongo, but Sewer's cash generation is crazy, man. And he's got the Broncos and the Cowboys next to. Where are you playing Kraz? So you're playing Kraz at center, but you have Macassini who's dual position. Your bench is really balanced as well. Oh, man. I'm leaning for you towards going Fairlongo instead of Kraz. I know we know who Kraz is, right? But Fairlongo is making cash at a rate. He's got really good fixtures. Like, do you think the Cowboys are going to stop Fairlongo? Oh, I don't think so. I'd go Fairlongo, and then I'd make a change with your team as well. So I'd play Fairlongo in the starting side. I'd move Chester into the center spot, and I would start Faeamani over Macassini as well. So you'd have Walsh, Fairlongo, Faeamani, and Herbie Farnworth and Chester in the center spot there. So they're the changes I'd make for you, man. Yeah, I'd go Fairlongo instead of Kraz. Just that cash generation, man. He's going to go out of control, right, with this run. And if he gets another big game, either against the Broncos, who just conceded 40 to Parramatta, or against the Cowboys, who just conceded 40 to the Tigers, then, yeah, Fairlongo is going to get out of control. Now, Kavaz, healing, I need to jump on the Cleary train. I need to love... yeah. Would really like Kraz, but I've been selling Ramian. I probably wouldn't sell Ramian yet. Cobbo for Yongi as a compromise. Yeah, I'm going Yongi instead of Kraz too, just because of cash issues as well. Brown and Cobbo for Yongi and Cleary is a massive pair of upgrades. Yeah, I'm not going to talk you out of this. This is fantastic. So you bring Cleary in. He starts at half. I'd probably captain Cleary this week too. And you bring Yongi in. He starts at wing fullback. Team is balanced. You're in a good spot. Yeah, bang, bang, bang. Lock it in, man. Pull the trigger. Kavaz, they're great trades. All right, Tracker. Hey, Longy. Thoughts on the trades? I went from Drinkwater to Yongi and Dylan Brown to Leka Halasima. Okay, so Halasima's in. Look, Capewell's out for a few weeks here. So I think it's 4 weeks. He is aiming to be back in round 6. We're coming into round 3. So 3, 4, 5, you've got 3 weeks of playtime for Halasima. It's already at 500K, so he's not going to make cash at a crazy rate unless he scores huge. I'm personally fading Halasima at this stage. Now, you don't have Lasardi. The easier play is just go Lasardi instead of Halasima. If you want to take a swing at the pot on Halasima, you can do that. But personally, I would go Lasardi instead. Then your other trade, Drinkwater to Yongi. Yeah, that's fine, man. Drinkwater to Yongi is a good option as well. You've got Fairlonger already. Look, if you did go to Lasardi instead of Halasima, there's potential that you might have the cash to go to Kraz instead of Yongi. So I'd consider that too, but that's a bit of a coin toss. That's sort of your call there. So yeah, go to Lasardi instead of Halasima is my thinking right now. But again, if you want to swing at Halasima, if you think he plays well enough over the next 3 weeks to lock in that starting spot, then maybe it's a good play. Natman, what are you? Ranked top 5,000. Good spot for you as well. So, hey, Longy, trading out Covo and Brown. Looking to bolster my mid backs. 430K in the bank. So you're losing Cobo Brown. Getting Uto, Hobgood, iPad. Yeah, okay. So you want a middle forward. Lacking a pod. Haven't made any trades yet. That's crazy. Either Yongi or Karaz. Can't lean on Yongi. Bank around 200K. For next week, Natman, by the way, just send through screenshots of the alternate trades you're considering, because it's always better to scroll through them so I can see sort of the cash left with each one and make adjustments there. It's better, and also it's better for the viewers when we can scroll through instead of me reading. But yeah, let's see this team. So in terms of weaknesses, you got Cobo is a big hole. Obviously, Dylan Brown in the halves. You got Hamish Stewart in the starting spot there. You have a good bench, and you're looking at Yongi Alcaraz. I'm going to say Atoka Manu. And if you can afford Kraz, get Kraz. If you can't, get Yongi, basically. That's kind of the play there. So Atoka Manu, and if you can afford Kraz, go for Kraz is the play, man. That's what I'd swing up for you. Then we got Drum D here. Top 1,000, no, top 5,000 here as well. Longy, hope you're doing well. You got some trade screenshots, nice. So I'm not keen on selling Atco, but he's my best way to Yongi. Nah, alarms are ringing, man. Also considering Stewart to buy to keep mid cover. Stewart to buy. Nah, man. I don't think these trades are it, bro. I don't think these trades are it. But your rank's great, though. You're nearly in the top 1,000. So you're in a good spot here, but I'm going to say these are kind of panic trades, man. Atco and Sanders, they're both making cash. I wouldn't worry about them too much. You know, Sanders had one bad week. He's still 400K. Atco is still going well. He's got a good run of fixtures coming up. So no and no to these. Scrap those trades. Let's go back to the drawing board here. Atco and Stewart, yeah, Cooper by. I wouldn't be targeting him either. Scored a try last week, but yeah, he's not the play. So let's have a look at this team. We'll start from scratch. So with Yongi out, you're going to have Atco, Sanders. So you're probably a bit weaker in the back line. So let's assume that you're starting Makasini in this team, or Setu 2 against Parramatta. Not a bad shout, by the way. Parramatta's defense has not been good, and Setu, he'll score a try at some point. So if you got Setu 2 in there instead of Yongi, it is a bit of a weakness. I would target it. In terms of players to sell, though, you don't really have a lot of glaring holes. Look, I understand you got a bit of depth. You got Galvin as well. That was a nice loophole play last week. I'm just going to say go back to the drawing board. Scrap all the trades. And then we just have to think about, do we want to make a move to try and get a better backline player for you this week? Now, you've got Reed Marnie, who's a bit dodgy, but you don't have hooker cover, so we don't need to worry about that. Don't have any injuries. You have all the cheapies that you want to have as well. This is weird to say, but I probably would lean towards not trading if I was you. If you really wanted to trade, I'm wondering if you have any cash in the bank. So if you make these moves, you've got so minus 100, then plus 240. So I can probably deduct that you got about 80K in the bank right now. If you sold Hamish Stewart, who's 461, you can go to 540, which is a bit short on the wing fullbacks we want to go for. 540. 540 is awkward. I mean, we could double up. My advice to you is probably just don't trade this week. Look, my real advice is don't trade. If you have to trade, if you really think, I need to get Isaiah Yongi in this week, then I would run this trade here, but I would not sell Atco. I would sell Hamish Stewart instead of Atkinson. If you really feel like you have to trade, you could do Stewart Atco to Yongi Faeamani and play Yongi there. I'm okay with that. But personally, my view is just don't trade and start probably Setu 2 this week instead. So that's my advice for you. A bit of an awkward situation for you. There's just not a lot of easy trades popping up in your team. And sometimes you look at your team, it's just a week where it's just not that hot. So top 5K as well. West Tigers Dynasty. Doing well, man. Rank 3,000 here. Overall score. See, this is crazy. 2008. So this is insane. You are 5 points ahead of me, right? I have 2,005 points, right? I'm ranked 4,250. You have 3 more points than me, and you're ranked 800 ahead. So 4,200 versus 3,400 is 3 points. That's about 1,000 ranks. That's incredible, right? So that's how close it is right now. Absurd. Hey, Longy, finally send a team. Let's see this team. And you know what? You're 3 points ahead of me, so I might give you some bad advice here. Would have been tracking for 1150 Ponga and Brown. That was a rough break, man. Interested to hear about how you'd play this bench, man. As a Brown truther, I was so upset when he got hurt. But yeah, Ponga Brown for Yongi Farnworth. That's a pretty good pair of trades there. Strengthens your back line. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, so Farnworth, Yongi, they come in. Man, you're in a great spot there. In terms of the roster, yeah, you got Hamish Stewart on the extended. You got a bit of depth here. You don't really have the loophole ability because you're obviously getting rid of Dylan Brown. If Sanders goes well, maybe put Sanders in emergency 5 so you have that loop ability. But yeah, your starters are good. I would leave your team pretty much exactly how you've got it there. Just make sure the players who play earliest in the round are in the starting team and the players who play later are on the bench, just so you have a bit more flexibility as you go through the round, especially if something happens and there's a late change to something that goes on there. So we'll keep rolling through, and we're now in the last 15 minutes. So do I do something tacky here and just go, we're in danger zone. We changed the lighting for the danger zone. All right, let's turn a bit of lighting here. So last few here, Fantasy Triple H. And before we go to Triple H, I'll just quickly answer a few questions. So what do we got going on? Casual baller, you'll be retired. Baller again if you do that. Yeah, I'm Gatho. Good shout. 2 or Faeamani. I would say Faeamani against the Cowboys. Any tiebreaker is going to be whoever's playing the Cowboys this week. And I think Faeamani could go massive. Like, he's been close to a few tries through this year, and I think he breaks out this week. So 2 for Faeamani is a different thing, by the way. Sorry, I thought you meant 2 or Faeamani. Selling Setu 2 is not a good move. So Setu has some good matchups coming up as well. Don't make that trade too sideways. Thoughts on Hunt as a cash down? Adam Reynolds is back pretty soon, so I'm going to say no to getting on Ben Hunt. Also, he's kind of a mediocre scorer. I think we'll see Reece Walsh step up more than Ben Hunt. Thoughts on Fletcher Sharp? Risky, expensive, only available in the half spot, but nuclear upside. I'm not into it, but if you want to do it, it's your risk. How long does Chester get if Laybutt is an emergency? So there's a good chance this week that Drinkwater is out of the side, and we're going to see Purdue go to fullback, and we're going to see Laybutt come into the centers. If Laybutt plays really good footy and they bring Drinkwater back, there is a threat that Chester loses his spot. Now, I think Chester's played pretty well, especially in that second game, even though they got smashed. So I'm hoping he's not dropped, but there is a risk that he does get dropped. Isaiah Katoa and Brown for Cleary and Faeamani. Yeah, these are good trades, man. If you can get Cleary, go get Cleary. It's a good shout. This year's been a really good example, too, of, Cleary versus Hines, Cleary versus Isaiah Katoa, Cleary versus Mitch Moses. Cleary has really stamped his authority on this season. Then, I don't want to waste a trade for Lasardi. Too bad. We're wasting those trades. Let's go make it move. My internet's back, man. Good to hear it. Ponga and Brown to Yongi and Kuraz or Herbie. It's always a good time to get Herbie, but Kuraz's dual position is really valuable right now. It's kind of a personal call there. Personal call between those two, I would say. The other good ones here. 2028 points for, so 2028 for 2000th ranking. So you are 23 points ahead of me, and you're half the rank. I'm 4,000, you're 2,000. 23 points. Like, guys, seriously, the rank right now, if you're at a bad rank, don't worry about it. If you're at a good rank, you should be nervous because I'm coming for your spot. The problem is I'm never going to win fantasy again. Like, I reveal my trades every week. There's too much transparency. I'll tell you what, guys. If I'm the top 10 in the last few weeks, I'm not going to reveal my trades those weeks because you got to be selfish sometimes. Now, fantasy Triple H, I rage traded Grant out early last year and it worked really well. I think this is a full circle moment where I rage traded back in. Don't trust Reed or Todd. Yeah, okay. Let's see. So Hamish Stewart and Reed Marnie out. Faeamani and Grant. Yeah, okay. Okay, so you get the upgrade at hooker. I don't mind this. Faeamani's going to be a better cash generator than Stewart. 200k in the bank is good from that. If you do this, you have Sanders in the loop spot. Okay. Your team is kind of lacking in depth, which is sort of weird to say. So I guess when you move Dylan Brown, this won't be a problem. But if Sanders scores poorly, then you're running Faeamani in your 17 here. You're also running Macassini in your 17. Yeah, I would say the thing is you're not missing any of the cheapies. So you got Lasardi, you got Couchman, you got Martin. I'm almost feeling like for you, a better play might be to go to like Atkinson and these types of guys and build up your depth because you got like Setu too, Moses Leo, Faeamani, Macassini, like Sanders. You got a lot of dodgy guys that I don't want to put in my 17 most weeks. Yeah, I'm okay with these trades. I would just say have a toy around with, instead of Grant and Marnie there, have a toy around with some other moves there. So Hamish Stewart to Faeamani and Brown instead of Marnie. So selling Hamish Stewart. In fact, actually, why are you selling Reed? You could sell Brown. Brown will get you there easy. Replace Reed Marnie with Dylan Brown in this trade and put Reed Marnie in this spot in your team because Reed Marnie's going to outscore Ethan Sanders most likely. If Sanders scores well, obviously, then you can switch it back and you can run a loophole. But yeah, keep Reed Marnie 100%, man. Swap Reed Marnie with Dylan Brown. That's an easy switch with your trade. Yeah, but you can run that loophole and you can sort of make a call there. So yeah, I can see that now. You've got that loop option mentioned there too. If Sanders scores poorly though, keep Reed instead because he's a much better scorer than the guys you got on your bench. Now, Kai, hey Longy, I play head to head and got 240k cash. I'm going to up the speed here now, guys. So let's have a look at these. After that, okay. So what do you got here? Aitken and for Karaz is a pretty good shout there. If you do Aitken to Karaz, you will have him in your starting center spot. You still got Macassini there, who's a bit of a weak link. Your forward pack is nice. You got Reed as well. Mooney, Luca, yeah, bench looks good. So you can move Dylan Brown 100%. You've got 166k in the bank. If I'm you, I'm thinking, hey, how do I get Macassini out of my 17 on a week-to-week basis? And the answer is Dylan Brown out for 166k. You're looking at, you got a bit of a 600k, so you can sort of go wherever you want here. Dylan Brown out for Isaiah Yongi, Keanu Keeney, potentially Dylan Edwards, one of these types of players, and you beef up your back line. That's my play there 100% for you. That puts you in a great position there. I believe you did mention a couple of those options as well. So, yeah, I know you're mentioning here too, Grant next week. I wouldn't get overly invested in planning for next week when it comes to saving cash and that kind of stuff. So, sorry, I just saw your display picture. I wouldn't get overly invested in planning for next week. I think with cash, there's so many curveballs thrown every week. If you save a bunch of cash for next week and then we have an injury to an expensive player or something like that, it just puts you in a tough spot. So get the players this week, get the scorers this week, grab that wing fullback, probably Yongi, and beef up your scoring right now. Because Yongi versus Macassini, I think it's like a 15-point difference in my head. Now, Cozy, I'll do whatever you say. Just wondering if this is a good trade idea. Got lucky with the cheapies, mate. Absolute cracker. There's no luck in this game. It's all skill. So for you, see again, this is crazy. You're ranked 10,000. I'm ranked 4,000, and there's less than 40 points between us. Like that is terrifying. So your trade here, Dylan Brown and Bradman Best for Kraz and Faeamani, pretty good pair of trades there. is there anyone I'd sell before Bradman Best? Well, if you sell Best, you have, Macassini in your 17 again. Look, I'm not here to disrespect Macassini, but we saw he wasn't a super central part of the Tigers' attack in a game where they smashed the Cowboys, right? So got a Rabbitohs matchup this week where I think he's up against Latrell Mitchell. I'm a bit scared of that matchup. Like, look, obviously Dave Fifita is a bit of a weak link defensively, but he could have a bunch of missed tackles against Latrell. It's a very tough assignment. And even if they swap sides or whatever it is, Jack Whiten's also a tough assignment defensively too. He's a very physical player. So I don't want Macassini in my 17 at all. So if I'm you, I'm switching Best out of this trade. I'm keeping Bradman Best. I'm putting him in my 17. And I'm selling Hamish Stewart instead, who's not in your 17 anyway. You upgrade your scoring production. It impacts you a little bit in terms of cash generation, but it's not a major factor. Make that move. Get Macassini out of your 17. Like, Macassini is a terrifying start this week against Latrell. So, yeah, I'm really hammering this point. I just don't think he's someone you want to start this week. Now, Crooks, by the way, if Macassini was on the wing, I'd actually like him quite a bit against the Bunnies, but at center, so Crooks is coming in. Longy, thoughts on this? Running a loop with Brown and Sanders. Feeder, they both play for Knights. Yep, sweet. Next week, sell Brown. Okay, let's have a look at this. So you're tossing up Kiraz versus Herbie. I wouldn't grab Howe. I've changed my mind on this just because Paxton is in the picture for this week. It's very scary as a Howe owner. As a Ho owner. So I would say don't get him this week. So Tino and Aitken, so much cash in the bank for Yongi there. You'll have 660K. That leaves you a bit short on Kiraz. Okay. So if you go Tino and Aitken out, you got Suafea-Longa already. And you got Macassini in your 17. I don't like that. And it's crazy because you got Macassini in your 17, Fifita in the extended bench there. That's the problem, right? Like, Fifita's a significantly better scorer than Macassini. So I would scrap the Ho component of this trade. If you're going Tino and Aitken out and you're bringing Yongi in, your other buy probably needs to be a center. Yeah, because you're a bit light at center. So it's just a question of which center do you target. I mean, who even is available at center? Like, because the other option is you just go, I mean, you want to get rid of Aitken. Like, you do want to get rid of Aitken. So if you go Aitken and Tino to Yongi and someone 660K or less, right? If we filter for centers, we're probably going to go a bit over time today. I hope you guys don't mind. So 660K. Yeah, that's so annoying, man. I would 100% recommend Kiraz this week for you. But the fact that he is out of the picture by 14K, it means that we're going to have to look at Val Holmes, Kaylee Rowe. I mean, against the Dolphins, we haven't seen any signs of life from Kaylee Rowe, but yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. He's going to be cheap at some point, and he'll be a buy, but not yet. Kola, Toya, man, the center position's tough right now. Garrick's getting cheap. Center's been rubbish. Shibasaki's getting cheap, but he's on the bench this week. He's going to get real cheap, actually. Howarth, I guess that's why he was mentioned before, because there's no other options. Sami's getting cheap. Feeder, Whiten, Russell. Yeah, okay, we're on dire straits here. I mean, Leia Tower could be good, but awkward price. Samrani's pretty cheap. Right, you might be stuck here. So I guess the other option is, do we go a different way for Mayongi? So if we start with Kiraz instead as the centerpiece of this trade, and we look for a wing fullback that is cheaper than Mayongi, there's not a lot. Because you already got Fair-Longo as well. So we're looking at Brian Toll, maybe. Yeah, you're in an awkward situation, man. Okay, let's get back to these trades. I'll throw... All right, here's what I'm going to suggest. All right, look, these trades are okay. But if it was me, I'm probably going to say Faeamani and Kiraz. And the center of what I'm talking about here is when I look at your team, I think Macassini is a big hole in your team. I think you want some better fixture guys. So you don't have Faeamani right now, and he's got the Cowboys this week. Kiraz is probably a better scorer than Yongi anyway. He's He's got dual position. He keeps you flexible. So if you get Karaz, you can play him at the center spot. You get Faeamani, you can start him there against the Cowboys. I think Faeamani scores like 20 more points than Makasini this week. Like, I think it's a big difference. That's where my projections sit. So I'm going to say switch that trade up. Look, if you don't like what I'm saying, by the way, this is really marginal. There's been a few trades this week and teams that I'm looking at where it's very close. So that's where I'm leaning. But if you really think Yongi and Ho is the play, you can go that way instead. If you really believe in Makasini, but personally, that's what I would do if I was you. That's where I'm sitting for your side, man. I think that's the play to make. If you make that play as well, the other thing that you get to do is you could potentially sell Dylan Brown, depending on how Sanders scores. You could sell Dylan Brown instead of Big Tino because you've got the cash there, right? You're going to have the cash there. So sell Dylan Brown, and it means that you can play Tino instead of Hamish Stewart this week. Tino has that Cowboys matchup, and as much as Tino's been terrible, there's a great chance he bounces back this week. So yeah, I've changed everything here. So instead of selling Tino, sell Dylan Brown. Instead of buying these two, I'd buy Karaz and Faeamani. I think that strengthens your 17. I really think those changes get you another, 20 to 40 points this week in scoring, which, as we've seen, is like 10,000 ranks. And your rank, you rank 13,000 right now. If we can get you an extra 40 points, then we're putting you in the top 1,000, basically. Little Josh Solo. Hey, Longy, was looking good for at least 1,050. Had Ponga and Brown. Yeah, okay. Finished on a 997. Man, that's rough. I've got a couple of trade options this week. Who should be my 17 between Colquhoun, Marnie Sanders, and Sam Walker? Sam Walker has the Panthers this week, which is a terrible matchup. So I don't know if you can play Sam Walker. Sanders has the Dogs this week. Not a great matchup either. Reed Marnie has the Titans. I like that. And Colquhoun is kind of matchup proof, but I think the Sharks have a softer matchup against the Dolphins, which could mean that Colquhoun potentially doesn't score that well. We saw the Dolphins not give a lot of scoring opportunities to tackling middle forwards for the Titans. Titans last week. So I'm going to say Reed Marnie is your starter there 100% out of those guys. Now, trades. You got a few trades here. So Ponga to Farnworth is good. I don't even have to look at your team to know that's a good trade. Brown and Ponga to Galvin and Yongi. I think this is a fair pair of trades as well. The big thing I'm looking for here between these two trades is, do you need Galvin to add depth to your 17, or do you just need to beef up your starting 17, right? Because scoring is important. Cash gen is important, but scoring is important as well. It's why I've caved in on Lasardi, because I just think he's scoring so good and I want him in my 17. Now, if you bring in... All right, so if you go Ponga to Farnworth, 34K in the bank, that means that you can play Farnworth over... Well, Ponga, basically, because you move Chester to wing fullback. It means Brown is a dud for you. Bench, strong. And you have a Sanders Walker loophole. So if you keep Dylan Brown, you can run a Sanders Walker loophole. So what you would do is you would put Makasini or Setutu, one of those two, one of them who plays before the Knights, in emergency 5, and you go Sanders in emergency 6 and Sam Walker in emergency 7. And then if Sanders goes well, you leave Dylan Brown on the starting side and Sanders will loop into your starting spot. If Sanders scores poorly, you bring Sam Walker into the starting team. Your other option here is that you just go Dylan Brown straight to Dan Atkinson, which I actually think is a really good trade for you. And you could add the Brown to Atkinson trade on top of Ponga to Farnworth, which I don't trust Sanders or Walker, and I trust Atco against the Eels. So, yeah, I would do the Ponga to Farnworth trade, and I would go Brown to Atkinson if Sanders scores poorly on Thursday night, which I think he will. So, yeah, that's the play I'd make for you, man. Reed Marnie is number one out of your bench guys as well. Only Ducky, Rabadowski. We got Tiller, Epicentra, Mayhe. Yeah, okay, we've got a few more to do. So we've got about 6 more. I'll just hit some questions here as well. And look, we're going over time, but man, I'm having a chill time. The early season's a good time. Like once we get to like round 20 and we're doing these, I'm sort of like yeah, we got no trades left. but at this stage, it's a lot of fun. So Gray, a sell. Yeah, I think Gray's a sell. This is funny too. No, you gave him my team, mate. Sorry. Look, I'm nudging people in certain directions. Look, if you disagree with things I'm saying, by the way, I don't win every year. I only won once. So, there are plenty of times where I'm wrong as well, which you can go against my calls. Yo or IPAP or Stefano and Brown to Yongi. I'd go to Stefano and Yongi. I think that's a good pair of trades. Stefano's looking fantastic. Then would you sell Toby for Ryan? Yes, 100%. Critter, trade out for. I don't know how much he's worth, man. Probably say like Yongi is a good option. I think they're in a similar price area. When do we finally get to hold some trades? I held one last week, but yeah, and a few people today I've recommended to hold trades. Sam Walker on the watch list. Yeah, he's getting nice and cheap. He'll have a hot run at some point, and it just wasn't the start of the year, so unlucky for those who jumped on. Tino to Hopgood or IPAP. I would say Hopgood is the safer option. He's very steady. Isaiah Papali'i has some big upside that we haven't seen yet. Personally, I'm a Hopgood owner, but I would buy IPAP over Hopgood. I'm a sucker for the upside, man. Hayward outscores Sanders this week. Hayward outscores Sanders this week. Hayward is like so as a general rule, I think Hayward's like a 39 average, maybe a 40. I think Sanders is like a 40 to 42 kind of guy. So I've kind of got them in the same area. The Raiders are a slightly worse team, so maybe there's more attacking stats for Hayward, but they have some tackle busters, so Hayward's going to miss a few tackles. I'd probably start Sanders over Hayward. There's just a lot of potential that Joey Tarpanay and Corey Horsburgh and Josh Papali'i, like there's a lot of potential these guys absolutely run over Bailey Hayward and just murder him with 10 missed tackles here. So I'd go Sanders. I don't trust Hayward at all. Yeah, week to week. He's gonna have some big days, but some quiet ones too. Does Sean Russell score well this week or Macassini? Oh, I like the matchup better for Russell. Again, I don't like the Latrell matchup for Macassini, so he's close to the bottom of my list. Longy, which two should I start between Chester, Macca, and Faeamani? Mate, you know the answer to this. Come on, you've been listening to the show. It's Chester and Faeamani. The matchups are too good. They're up against the Titans and the Cowboys, up against each other. They're good matchups. Setu is number 3, obviously, against Parramatta, and Macassini is last. Hey, Longy, who would you pick out of Preston, Grant, and Sharp? I think Grant's the play. Preston, positionally, we don't need an edge. And Sharp's dodgy. Sharp's dodgy this week. I think Grant's really the play to go for. When did you win? 2013, bro. 2013. I'll show you, actually. I'll show you something funny. So... here's me with hair. Me with hair and no beard, right? Little Dan, first year out of high school, wins. It was called Dream Team back then. It's actually so long ago. But yeah, that was pretty sick. So as part of winning Dream Team, which that was the original game, that was the fantasy game, and they switched name to fantasy. I think it was like 5 years after. But yeah, got to go to the World Cup in 2013 over in Europe with the Australia team. So caught the team bus, was it captain's run, absolute cracker experience. The NRL put it on, won 25 grand as well, which for a 19-year-old who was at uni was more money than I should have had, I will say. But yeah, no, it was awesome. I'm going to make a video about that at some point and share some of the photos because it was such a cool experience. And yeah, fantasy used to go crazy on the prizes. Let's see some other questions here. EuroSL. Nah, that ain't you. What do you mean that ain't me? That's me. That's me. Come on. We look the same. We look the same, just not the same beard. Do you Google that every day? No. But I think if you Google me, it's one of the first things that comes up still because the NRL's got such SEO. I was 11 when you won. Man, don't make me feel old. Show us your winning 2013 team. Man, I'll try and find some screenshots because that team, I was a real swing for the fences coach back then. So and I still am actually. So what I did then was, if you remember these players, I had like Tony Williams in my back row spot. I just loved the upside, massive tackle break guy. Jamal Idris. So he was playing at the Titans and he was on a bit of a resurgence attempt. And he was sort of washed at that point, but I'm a big Jamal Idris fan. I just like the way he plays footy. So yeah, I got him into the team and he was a bit of a beast. And then, yeah, wing fullbacks weren't as good back then, but I had Conrad Hurrell in the centers. So at that time in the centers, it was Simon Mannering who was like that sort of tackling center. So like your Ewan Aitken type. And it was Conrad Hurrell, which was, it's probably not even a current equivalent, maybe like a Bradman Best almost type, where he would just score in big try-scoring plays. And I went the Hurrell side over the Mannering side. And it was total heart like pain every week because he'd be on like 20 points with 2 minutes to go and he'd score a massive Hurrell Kane try. Man, Conrad Hurrell is one of my favorites ever. The other thing that year was Cam Smith was captain number one. Like everyone was locked in on Cam Smith, and he was the Nathan Cleary type captain option. And it was kind of a similar year to last year where Andrew Fafita sort of had a Payne Haas type of year. So Andrew Fafita came out and he was just an absolute monster. And the thing with Fafita was he was more of an attacking player than Payne Haas. Right? So he wouldn't play the full games. He'd come off the bench and he'd play about 60 minutes. But he was the kind of guy who would score a double. And he scored a couple of doubles. I think one of them was that year against Newcastle. Like he would always just score 100 plus against Newcastle. So I kept taking the risk and captaining Andrew Fafita. And everyone was so on Cameron Smith. And because there was no content back then, like there were no podcasts, people were really slow to adjust to trends. So yeah, I just got away with it. Got to first place in like round 12 and then sort of stayed in the top 3 from there. And yeah, one pretty, I think I won by a decent amount. Like I was a few hundred ahead of third place. Second place got reasonably close. I think it was 70 points behind. But yeah, and thanks for the new profile pic. Yeah, no, I'll make a video about this later. I think it's a pretty fun one. And then, yeah, here we go, some old school. I go back even further, Longy, back to Matt Cooper as a gun center and Orbison, even Highmarsh in the back row. Yeah, mate, 2009 was when I started. So my first ever captain in fantasy was Fui Moi Moi, which was a terrible, terrible choice. It was like captaining Royce Hunt, except a few more minutes and a better player, I'll bet. Now, let's go through some more teams here. Only Ducky. Hey, Longy, thinking of getting Couchman as I diverted to Lasardi last week and getting Yongi as well. So Hamish Stewart and Brown to Couchman and Yongi. Yeah, these are good trades, man. You need to get Couch. Yongi's a good shout too. Team looks strong. 17 is really good, man. Yeah, you're fine. Look a bit late on Couchman, but got to pull the trigger. I like your choices in your 17. Only Ducky, that's a good play, man. Locked in. Prepodowski, hey, Longy. Unfortunately, Aitken is a sell, but it's a nice trade straight to Kraz. Tamale just not getting any service. Yeah, I just haven't been high on Canberra's attack this year, and unfortunately, I've proven to be correct. So Tamale is not the play. Keen to keep Brown loop this week. Yeah, okay, cool. Just the thing with Brown, right? I guess with Karaz, you have to buy him straight away. So what you could do is if you want to run the loophole this week. Oh no, Tamale plays that first game as well. Okay, don't worry about it. Yeah, these are good trades. Tamale and Aitken to Yongi and Karaz. Yeah, you're beefing up your back line, which I think is the meta right now. It's a strategy to run. You then have your loophole there, Sanders, Colquhoun. I'm expecting you're probably going to play Colquhoun this week. Sanders, tough matchup there. And your backline looks good. Yeah, Setu 2 against Parramatta should be fine as well. I'd play him over Makasini 100%. So, mate, you're in a good spot there. Isaiah Yo, keep him this week. See what happens. Yeah, rank 6,000 there. So, again, you're 14 points behind me and 2,000 ranks. Like, it's so close. Tilla 81. Hey, Longy. Hey, Yongi. Just thoughts on the trade Brown. Something on this. Traded Brown for Dewey and Couchman for IPAP. So Brown for Dewey, I like it. Couchman for IPAP, I like it as well. I need to get rid of Gray. No cash to do it. Thinking Brown for Galvin instead. I think the trades you've suggested are good, man. So I guess you're kind of stuck with Gray this week. The other option here is if you don't get Isaiah Papali'i, it brings Sanders into your 17, which isn't ideal. Not ideal. Okay, I think getting Papali'i is worth it. I think you just keep Gray for this week. Tigers matchup should be a bit of a shootout. Just hope he goes well, and you move him next week instead. I think that's probably the play there. The thing is, you want Suafea-Longo, though. I'd probably target Suafea-Longo. So who are the guys you sold again? You sold Couchman for IPAP. No cash in the bank. If I was you, I'd probably keep Couchman, not get IPAP, and sell Gray for Faealongo. I think you want Faealongo, man. So that's the swap I'd make. Keep Couchman, don't get IPAP, sell Gray for Faealongo. I think you should be okay cash-wise for that move. If you can't afford Fair Longo, we can talk about something else as well. Then Epicentra. So thoughts on trades. I'm wanting to get rid of Buy, Brown, Cobbo next couple of weeks. Only have a bit of cash in the bank. Got Martin Ryan. Okay, let's see. So you got Katoa and Big Tino out for Colquhoun and Cleary. I'm not the highest on Colquhoun right now. I think it's a bit late to jump on him. So how does this impact your team? So if you get, yeah, Tino and Katoa. You're banking a bit of cash as well. Starting team looks strong. Yeah, okay. Ramians, Etutu, Selwyn Cobbo. A couple of weaknesses in the back line. If you bring in Cleary and Colquhoun. So play Chester 100%. Definitely play Chester. And what if instead of selling Tino, you sold Brown and you bought Faeamani? Now, I'll talk you through my logic here. So you keep Tino. You keep Tino for a good matchup this week. Tino has the Cowboys. They've been very fragile. Potentially Tino goes over for a try. Like, he's been really bad this year, so he has to step up, right? Keep Tino. You sell Brown instead. You buy Faeamani, and you play Faeamani over probably Selwyn Cobbo, right? Faeamani's got a better matchup. I think he'll outscore Cobbo. You can play him over Setu too if you want to as well, but I think Selwyn Cobbo is a play. That's what I would do. So keep Tino, play him in your 17, sell Brown, and you upgrade to Faeamani instead of, Cobbo there. Better matchup. That's the play I'd make for you, man. These trades are fine as well, by the way. If you want to stick with these are good too. But yeah, I think getting Cleary is a good move. I think the sells are good options as well. And then Mayhe. Hey, Longy, pretty happy with these moves. Any advice to play this week? I think it's harder. Yeah, okay. So for Mayhe, by the way, shout out to Legend here. Mayhe shares a bunch of news in the major updates and injury suspensions there. So absolute legend of the server. One of our biggest news sources. So, mate, happy to help you. Dylan Brown and Reed Money out for Yongi and Grant. Mate, these are pretty cracker trades. Just make sure there's no bigger fires than money to put out for you. So your 17 looks clear. Faeamani on the bench there. Starting side is very strong. Backline's good. Forward pack's good. You're fine, man. Yeah, these are good trades. Pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. These are cracker. Crossy. I think Crossy is, and then Aiden is the last one there. So for Crossy, hey, Longy. Hope you had a good week so far. Thanks again for the Hopgood Loophole idea. Mate, no worries at all. Happy it worked. Players I'm uncertain about. Yeah, Hopgood Loophole, by the way. That strategy worked great, actually, because I want to flag that up. A lot of us put Sanders in that emergency 5 spot and avoided playing him, which was good. Unfortunately, I played Aramaho instead, who scored the same. So I think it made me like 1 point, which, yeah, maybe 1 point makes a difference. Players are uncertain about Dylan Brown and Cobbo. Yep. Player trades you're considering. Herbie Farnworth, Karaz, Yongi. Okay, cool. This is a good format too for your message there. So Farnworth versus Karaz. Yeah, okay. So if you are with 179K in the bank, if you're selling Brown and Cobbo, if you go into Karaz, you're going to have to go a bit cheaper. Who are you lacking? You don't have Lasati. All right. You have a very similar call to me to make this week. Aramaho is a bit suspect this week. I don't want him in my 17, so we need to try and upgrade that. If I'm you, I'm going Cobbo and Brown out for, you got 179K in the bank. Cobbo's low 4s, Brown's high 4s. So you're looking at about 1.1 million. A bit under that. You bring in Lasati. That gets you down to sort of the 600s area. You're probably short of Karaz. Just doing the math in my head, you're probably about 15K short of Karaz. So I would say if you can go Brown and Cobbo to Karaz and Lasati, do that. If you can't afford it, like me, I'm in the same spot as you. I'm going Lasati and Yongi, right? I'm pretty happy with that. I'd rather Karaz, but we can get Yongi as well. The Karaz play for you is good, though, because Brad Best is a bit suspect, and you might be selling him in future, so it gives you a bit more flexibility. But if you have to go Yongi instead. It's going to depend on how the cash works out there for you, man. Aiden Crawford, which would you run? Firstly, Cobbo, Brown, Yongi, Halasima. Not the highest on Halasima, just with the window. Or Faeamani and Farnworth. Ooh, okay. So Yongi versus Farnworth there. It's about 250K difference between the two of them. If you bring Herbie in, you can move Chester down and you can bench Cobbo, which is good. Same thing with Yongi there as well. So it doesn't make a difference in terms of squad configuration. If you bring in Halasima, he replaces Brown on your bench there. So you play Halasima over Sanders. That's about a 10-point upgrade, I would say, this week. Whereas Faeamani probably isn't in your 17. Okay. I'm leaning towards the Yongi Halasima play here, but I don't know if I love the Halasima option. Like, personally, look, if you want to go Halasima and take a risk on it, it's like a 3-week window is guaranteed the spot. And then after that, K-Pol's back. So take a swing at Halasima if you want to. I think the safer play would be someone like Atkinson. I know Atkinson wasn't heavily featured in Buy Hold Sell this week, but he's got a good run of fixtures coming up. He's about 500K. He works when your squad needs a bit more depth. And I think for your team, if you want to avoid playing Ethan Sanders, you get someone that's reliable, which is Atko. So I'd personally go Atko over Halasima. But I say that with the expectation that I think Halasima might outscore Atko this week. So it's something for you to weigh up. Do you want that short-term burst of Halasima, or do you want to take a swing on Atko? Your call there, just an option I want to flag for you. I'd personally probably go Atko, by the way. Anyway, guys, that's us done. So I'll answer a few questions here. What do I do with Leilua? I'd sell him. Ero a sell, yes. Hey, Longy, should I play Gray or Faeamani this week? I'd take a swing at Faeamani if I was you. Then Stewart or Toby Couchman a sell. Both are reasonable sells. If you're going to have to play one of them in your 17, Couchman's probably the better play. But Stewart has some upside, potentially starting lock this week, we hope. So I'd probably sell Couch. Traded Sewer for Ponga last week. Man, that's a heartbreaker. That's why we had Sewer Failongo in the holds last week. I really hammered that home. Fixtures are really good. We like Sewer. So yeah, the holds is like when we watch the buy hold sell video and I look at the retention, a lot of people watch the buys and they'll have a quick glance at the cheapies. They'll watch the pods and they skip the holds and sells. The holds is actually probably the most important part of that video, that buy hold sell video, because it's talking about the guys that have more in the tank. So Dave Fafito, who I'm so passionate about, Dylan Brown, unfortunately got injured, but he was a big hold last week because we saw the upside against Manly and he nearly scored 90 points. He was tracking for 90. He got hurt. Sean Fensom. Oh, this is some OG fantasy. Yeah. Guys, drop a message in if you are an OG fantasy player, your favorite OG fantasy option. So Sean Fensom, you can talk about any era, by the way. You don't have to be as old as me. If it's someone from 5 years ago, that's fine too. But I want your OG fantasy options. Now, Yongi a trap. This is interesting here because this is totally a reasonable take. So the bet on Yongi is second-year leap that he's changed, that having Moses and Pezzett there is a shape that's benefiting Yongi. But there is the chance that this is a bit of a mirage. We've only seen 2 weeks here. So fair shout. You can anti-pod. I mean, he's going to be a little bit of a pod, Yongi, but you can anti-pod as well. Is Reed Marnie and Suka going to be a good trade for Noah Martin and Lasardi? Yeah, make those moves, man. Make those moves. Then what else we got? Yeah, the good ones. Harry Grant, a must-have. Not a must, but here we go. Good answer. Not a must, but a good option to take. All right, I want to see some of these OG fantasy players. So where are we? Just on Hansen too, starting for the Warriors this week, base price. Probably only like one week. So I'm going to say no to him. And then can we use Brown as a loop? Yeah, you can use Brown as a loop. Eels IPAP, man, he was a dog. Yeah, Eels IPAP was awesome. Averaged like 70 plus. Rookie Gus. Oh my God. And Cohen Hess. Yeah, Cohen Hess had a year where he scored like 12 tries for the Cowboys. I think he was playing edge back row. And he just could not be stopped. He was awesome. I'm not unk enough, sorry. Brandon Hands, bro. Don't come in with that slander. Simon Mannering, man, he was a beast for fantasy. I loved Simon Mannering. I sometimes chat to a few of the like NRL players from that era as well, like Ben Madalino. Sometimes I have a chat to him. He was a fantasy beast quite a few times because he'd pop up at clubs and he'd just go on these runs of being a total monster at the prop spot. And he'd have sort of quiet stretches and he'd come back and surge. And yeah, man, Corey Parker, here we go. Yeah, he's a popular player, but he was a fantasy beast too. Anyone getting KO ads non-stop? Man, KO needs to sponsor the show instead of putting these ads on. But yeah, KO, they're slamming it, man. They're slamming it. That Matty Johns ad, I keep seeing that one where he's walking out and singing the song. Fensom, Parker, Captain Thurston once, he scored -6. Bro, back in the day when captains weren't as certain, and you were locking in these guys like Benji Marshall, he used to have negative games as well, have monsters. Paul Gallen. Oh my God, that Talakai game, first Manly. Yeah, that was OG, man. CP13. You know what? This is inspiring me. I think we need to have an OG reminiscing episode for the show. Like we sit down, get in some comfy chairs, have a few drinks, and just talk about all the OG fantasy players. Yeah, Paul Gallen, the GOAT, Matt Bowen, Corey Parker, Andrew Fafita, my favorite ever. I don't want to close my eyes. Cameron Smith, Lockie Miller, yeah, him backing into the in-goals, but he was a beast as well. Anyway, guys, that's me done and dusted. We've gone a bit over time today, about half an hour over, but we're just having fun. So appreciate you guys jumping on. For everyone who sent their team and didn't get mentioned there, those will be written up later. So you'll get a tag in this channel here. If you haven't sent your team yet, do it by 10 p.m. No guarantees I reply after that. So I'll see you guys there. And I'll just quickly answer this one. Luke Hansen debut. Will he make money? It's probably only 1 week. Chanel Harris-Tavita is back next week. And Metcalf is due back pretty soon as well. So cheers, guys. Yeah, Lewis Brown. Cheers. Thank you. Mayhe, appreciate you. Gordon, legend, Laters. Yeah, 2006. All right. Cheers, everyone. You have a cracker of a week. Good luck with your trades. And I'll do my team reveal tomorrow as well. So jump on for that. That usually comes out around midday. My team reveal. Also, Jay-Z's Big Questions segment that will come out probably later tonight as well. So see you guys.